You're wasting your future, his father said, his voice sharp enough to slice through the silence that had settled over the Malik household that evening. Ryan didn't look up. His hands trembled slightly, his eyes fixed on the small silver locket in his palm. Inside it was a tiny photo, one taken on a cheap disposable camera 3 years ago, showing a girl with wind-tossed hair and eyes full of dreams that didn't fit inside her small world. "She is my future," he said finally, his voice quiet but firm. His father, Mr. Malik, slammed his fist on the dining table, rattling the plates and the fragile threads of understanding that still connected father and son. "Your mother and I didn't work all our lives to see you throw it all away for some girl with nothing to her name. You're the top student at the university, Ryan. You have a scholarship waiting for you in London. You could build something big, something real." Ryan looked up, meeting his father's fiery gaze. "I already found something real," he said softly. The argument burned on like wildfire, but those words, the quiet defiance of a son who had made up his mind, hung in the air long after. 3 years earlier, Ryan Malik had been the quiet kind of genius everyone expected greatness from. His father, a retired banker, was known for boasting that his son would one day build an empire. His mother, soft-spoken and patient, prayed her boy wouldn't lose himself in ambition. Ryan's life was a line drawn straight: school, success, scholarship, and someday, success beyond borders. But all of that changed the day he met Aisha. It was at a small community tutoring center where Ryan volunteered to teach math on weekends. She wasn't a student, she was a volunteer too, helping the younger kids learn English. She wore faded jeans and a smile that reached her eyes even when the world seemed heavy. Ryan noticed her before he even meant to. She had this way of listening, really listening, to every child who spoke, as if each stuttered sentence mattered. He didn't know her story at first. But when he did, something inside him shifted. Aisha lived with her grandmother in a small 2-room home on the outskirts of the city. Her mother had died when she was 10, and her father had left soon after, unable to bear the weight of grief and poverty. Yet, despite everything, she was the kind of person who looked at the world as if it were still beautiful. She worked 2 part-time jobs, studied at night, and volunteered on weekends, because, as she once told Ryan, if you stop giving, life stops meaning. He laughed then, not at her words, but at the simplicity with which she said them. Over time, volunteering together turned into long conversations. They'd walk home together, sharing stories about childhood, fears, and the odd comfort of small dreams. He learned that Aisha wanted to become a teacher, to help other children who, like her, had no one to believe in them. And without realizing when, Ryan started seeing her face in his thoughts more often than his textbooks. It was the day before his final exams when his father first noticed the change. Ryan, who once stayed up until dawn revising formulas and case studies, now sat quietly staring at his phone, waiting for a simple good luck message from Aisha. His father asked him bluntly, "Is there a girl?" Ryan hesitated before answering, "Yes." That one word was enough to ignite months of tension in the Malik household. Mr. Malik didn't just dislike Aisha, he refused to acknowledge her as part of Ryan's world. To him, she was a distraction, a detour, a mistake. And the more Ryan tried to explain that love wasn't a mistake, the more his father pushed back with logic, numbers, and the future he'd planned out. "She can't give you what you deserve, Ryan. She doesn't belong in your world," his father said one night, tired of pretending patience. "She belongs where my heart does," Ryan answered. It wasn't rebellion. It was conviction. After graduation, Ryan received an offer from a top London university, a fully funded research scholarship in engineering. It was the dream he'd been working towards since he was 12. But he couldn't bring himself to accept it, not without knowing what it meant for Aisha. That evening, he met her by the riverside, the same spot where they'd first confessed their feelings. She smiled when she saw him, though her eyes were a little tired from her evening shift at the school library. "You got the offer, didn't you?" He nodded. "Yeah. You're going, right?" He didn't answer. "Ryan," she said gently, "you have to go. You worked for this. You deserve it." What if I don't want to go without you? Her breath hitched, but she smiled again, softer this time. Don't say things that will make leaving harder. He took her hand, tracing the lines on her palm. Then come with me. She laughed, but there was sadness behind it. I can't. My grandmother's not well, and I don't have the money or visa or. I'll take care of that, he said quickly. Ryan, she interrupted, pulling her hand back. You can't build a life on pity. He looked hurt. That's not what this is. I know, she said quietly, tears glistening in her eyes. But love should lift you both. Not make one person feel like they're holding the other back. He wanted to argue, to promise her that he didn't see her that way. But the truth was, Aisha had already made up her mind. That night, she walked away, leaving behind the sound of river waves and a boy who couldn't imagine his future without her. Months passed. Ryan went to London. His father was proud, his mother relieved, and Aisha, well, she became the ache in every success he achieved. He sent her messages at first, letters even, but she rarely replied. The few times she did, her words were warm but distant. I'm proud of you, Ryan, she'd write. Keep chasing your dreams. He did everything right on paper, aced his courses, got offers from big companies, even gave a talk at a tech conference. But inside, he felt hollow. Success meant little when he couldn't share it with the person who'd taught him what meaning was. 2 years later, his father called to tell him that Aisha's grandmother had passed away. The news hit him like a punch to the chest. That night, without telling anyone, he booked a flight back home. When he arrived, he went straight to the small neighborhood where Aisha lived. The house looked the same, except emptier somehow. She was outside, lighting incense near a framed photo of her grandmother. When she saw him, her eyes widened in disbelief. Ryan? He didn't say anything at first. He just stepped closer and said, I'm sorry I wasn't here. She shook her head, smiling faintly. You didn't have to be. You're doing great things. I saw your article online, The Young Engineer Changing Tomorrow. He almost laughed. What's the point of changing tomorrow if today feels empty? Her expression softened, and for a moment, neither spoke. Then he said the words he'd been holding back for years. I can't keep living someone else's dream, Aisha. I want to build something real, with you. She looked at him, eyes wet, voice trembling. Ryan, your father. He'll never understand, he interrupted. But maybe that's okay. Because I finally do. He reached for her hand again, and this time, she didn't pull away. The next day, Ryan told his parents he was moving back permanently. His father's reaction was volcanic. You're wasting your future, he shouted. Throwing away everything you've worked for. For what? For her? Ryan didn't flinch this time. He stood tall, calm, and certain. She is my future. The silence that followed was heavier than anger. His mother's eyes brimmed with tears, his father's jaw tightened, his pride wounded beyond repair. But Ryan didn't turn back. He knew that sometimes, love isn't about escaping responsibilities, it's about redefining what success truly means. The years that followed weren't easy. Ryan and Aisha started small, a tutoring center in their community, where children from poor families could learn for free. He used his engineering skills to design affordable learning tools, she taught with the same warmth that had once drawn him in. At first, people mocked him. The genius who gave up a fortune to teach kids in slums, they whispered. But as months turned into years, the results spoke louder than gossip. Their little center grew into a foundation. Hundreds of children went on to attend universities. Some even returned to teach. One afternoon, 5 years later, a luxury car stopped outside their center. Mr. Malik stepped out, older and grayer than Ryan remembered. He watched silently as children ran up to greet Ryan and Aisha, laughing, calling them Sir and Mississippi. He walked inside, his pride slowly dissolving into something else, understanding. Ryan noticed him and froze for a moment. Then he smiled.